The Book of Daniel and its origin. The first question about the veracity of the Book of Daniel is found in the fact that the people of Israel, and several other peoples, were captives for Babylon, and that the captives were of lineage of sages and nobles. Cyrus dominates Babylon, and becomes king of Babylon, where we can see this in Cyrus' cylinder, where he determines that Babylonian captives can return to their lands. The Book of Daniel mentions these two phases, with historical definitions. Normally a book linked to mysticism would define an account of a non-historical mystical system. But the Book of Daniel is extremely linked to history and facts. What would not define a mystical book? We can also find several manuscripts from the Book of Daniel, in the collections of the Dead Sea Scrolls, dating from 150 years before the birth of Christ. What would go back that the book existed before? The book is found in Hebrew and Aramaic manuscripts, defined in Hasmonean and Herodian. What would be defined if the book had an older aspect? The biblical Book of Esther, which is a book not found in the Dead Sea manuscripts, is often dated to the 4th century BC. Who has great knowledge of the Persian system? With this we have a foundation that, written about Persia, it can exist without being directly linked, the old line accepted by the Jews. So the existence of Jews, both in Babylon, due to being captives, and in Persia, becomes a fact. The Book of Daniel is balanced with such historical concepts, and manages historical concepts from both Persia and Greece. There may also be a fact of acceptance of the Book of Daniel, having Jesus quoting such a book in Matthew 24:15. What would define Daniel as a prophetic book at the time of Christ? For Jesus Christ directly quoted the book to a common group of people. In fact, in 70 AD, there is the destruction of Jerusalem, as Jesus had said, and next to the verse was Daniel's account, in which prophetic concepts are connected. So we have two prophetic factors, linked to Christ, and still defined by Christ. For much smaller connections, books are considered canonical, like the books of Cantars. Thus, it is very interesting to understand and accept the Book of Daniel as prophetic. Or we would have to deny the truth of the Book of Matthew. The predominant issue is that historians accept that a man may have prophesied about the future, as stated in the Book of Daniel. To accept that such a thing exists would be to clearly define that God exists, and that he can predict the future. This is a question not accepted by archaeologists. In this way they seek to dispel any suspicion that the book is older than the date of the prophecies it cites. In fact, we can analyze that Daniel's prophetic concepts fit for the end of time. Mainly what defines the feet of the statue, and the present time. We live in a kingdom ruled by several kingdoms that do not come together. This is a fact. Still, the concepts in the Revelation book of the Apocalypse define an end to the modern period, linked both to the concepts of Jesus, and to the prophets, or apostles defined after Jesus. The big question always around accepting the Book of Daniel, and more, is whether to accept the existence of God, or not. History determines that archaeologists deny the truth of the Bible, and over time, archaeological evidence has shown that the data in the Bible was correct. This rule is not supposed to have changed. The point is that those who do not want to believe in God will always look for ways to deny the facts.
If you are looking for more content from different areas, visit the reformadorstad.com website. News and detailed content can be found with system of research and organization of text and video.